Hello everybody, my name is Jennifer Rosowitz and I'm going to be speaking with you today in regards to ultimately my overall thoughts from the article which I had the opportunity to review the research methods of. So if you look here, ultimately here is the specific article which was chosen. When we talk about it, the article that I chose was about the perceptions of leader charisma when it comes to effectiveness and integrity. So when we talk about this, in today's environment, especially due to the fact that ultimately clickbait and influence and things of that nature are so important when people talk about getting followers or having influence, there has been a large debate when we talk about the ability of leaders to be effective and influence based on either likability or charisma. So ultimately, I think it's important that we really sort of ascertain the differences and really think through, yes, potentially charisma or likability might make it easier to influence others to follow you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your overall leadership is effective. So that's sort of what this article also kind of tests and dives into. And I think one key thing to think of is, unfortunately, we think of Hitler. Hitler was very charismatic. The people around him, in many instances, very much liked him, but doesn't mean that he was morally sound and was making leadership decisions in a positive way and was overall effective at influencing positive change. And the answer to that would be no. So overall, when we talk about all of this, one thing that I think is key to explain is their research methodology. So ultimately, within this article, they had the opportunity to present a few different hypotheses that spoke to whether a leader who was making specific charismatic speeches and things of that nature had additional followers or the ability to get other people to feel that the leader was more effective based on word choice, tone, eye contact, things of that nature. And so what they would do is they would have the same sort of verbiage utilized from the perspective of sharing a specific speech or something of that nature, but then they would change one key factor, such as having the leader smile versus not smile or something of that nature. So one of their main issues and one of the things they wanted to show was that, and this is one direct quote, what a leader says may at times be less important to fostering a charismatic image than how he or she says it. And then let's take that a step further. Just because ultimately what you said and the way you said it got people to like you, does that mean you're an effective leader? And that's a very key topic for us because there's a gray area, right? So are you an effective leader because you can influence others? Or are you an effective leader because your influence is doing something positive and moving in the direction of where we would want that to go? So some of the key findings were that truly when slight changes were made, when it just came to, like I said, somebody smiling versus not or something of that nature, it made a huge difference in regards to the perception towards that leader and ultimately, in many instances, the way that they heard and received the data. So when we talk about real world applications, I think there's two ways that we can look at this. First of all, I think it's very key that as consumers and people out in the world that we learn to differentiate this. So maybe I'm drawn to what someone is saying, but is it just because they happen to be a charismatic individual or somebody who is smiling and making me feel as though they're my friend? Or are the merits of what they're saying and doing actually sound? I think also, like as a leader myself, I've found that if you can develop relationships with people and they feel like you care and you are friendly and things of that nature, that you can be much more effective as a leader. So I think it's one of those things where ultimately it has to be used for good and not evil. And we as people in this environment need to be able to review and perceive it appropriately and learn to watch out for that sort of methodology. I personally think that this would be 5 stars for me. So this is one of my key topics and I'm very excited about this for my paper throughout the course of this class. For me, this is a very important topic, is how likability and establishing relationships and things of that nature make a difference when we talk about communication and how you're perceived. And I really think that this will help us in driving that forward. So I thank you everybody for having the chance to listen to this today. I would really encourage you to check out the article, Perceptions of Leaders' Charisma, Effectiveness, and Integrity, and its Effects of Exemplification, Delivery, and Ethical Reputation. I really appreciate you coming by today to have a listen. Thank you so much.